Astor VI survived the Titanic before he was even born, but that didn't mean he was lucky. What he uncovered after his half-brother died left a black mark on the Astor name forever. John Jacob Astor VI, affectionately nicknamed Jakey, was born with a shiny silver spoon in his mouth on August 14, 1912 in New York City. As a member of the illustrious Astor family, he was born into as much privilege as one could ask for. Except, even before he was born, his family was embroiled in controversy. At the heart of the controversy over his parents' relationship was the staggering 29-year age difference between them. His mother, Madeline, was just 18 when she married Colonel Astor, who was 47. Perhaps yet, Jakey would have to compete with another branch of his family. Colonel Astor's age gap marriage was one thing, but he was facing an even bigger problem. His wedding to Madeline came just a year after his highly publicized divorce from Eva Lowley Willing. Thanks to his father's first marriage to Willing, Jakey ended up with two half-siblings, William Vincent and Eva Alice Muriel. His life was already in turmoil from the womb. Jakey's parents wasted no time consummating their marriage. By early 1912, Madeline was already pregnant with the future Titanic baby, but the pregnancy didn't exactly slow her down. In April 1912, Jakey's parents embarked on a lavish honeymoon in Egypt and Europe. Their journey was meant to signal a fresh start for the controversial couple. Instead, it led them aboard the ill-fated RMS Titanic. Both of Jakey's parents displayed tremendous courage in the face of impending doom. On the night of the Titanic sinking, Colonel Astor ensured the safety of his wife and unborn son by placing them in a lifeboat. Sadly, however, even as the wealthiest guest on board, the Titanic crew didn't allow him into the lifeboat. Once the water calmed, Madeline Astor's lifeboat returned to the scene of the wreck to search for survivors. What she did next was unforgettable. Despite being well into her pregnancy and in a delicate condition, Jakey's mother managed to pull 6 men from the freezing Atlantic waters, though 2 tragically succumbed to the sinking. After the Titanic disaster, the widowed Madeline raised John Jacob Astor VI at Beechwood, the Astor family's grand Newport mansion. However, despite the luxury and wealth, he grew up in the shadow of one of America's most storied families. Jakey's elder half-brother Vincent deeply resented his stepmother Madeline, and it had a devastating side effect. That animosity extended to Jakey himself, creating a lifelong tension that divided the Astor family fortune into ever smaller pieces. Jakey would have to fight for his inheritance. Jakey's half-brother Vincent loathed him and his mother so completely that he went so far as to claim that Jakey wasn't a biological Astor. The cruel accusation only widened the rift between the two brothers and further fractured the already fragile Astor family. Then there was the matter of their father's massive estate. Under Colonel Astor's will, Jakey and his mother received relatively little of his $85 million estate. Vincent's inheritance included properties like the Rhinebeck estate and the yacht Noma, but the bulk of the fortune went to Jakey's sworn enemy. John Jacob Astor VI saw his father's first family benefit most from the Astor fortune. Vincent, his arch-nemesis half-brother, received $69 million, while his half-sister, Eva Alice Muriel, was granted a $10 million trust fund. Compared to those staggering amounts, Jakey's inheritance was considerably smaller. As part of Astor's family will, Madeline received income from a $5 million trust fund and annual payments of $500,000. However, the money came with strings attached. If Madeline ever remarried, she would lose the money, meaning Jakey would lose access to his father's vast fortune. But there was still plenty of money to go around. Perhaps because of these restrictions, Jakey's mother waited before remarrying. As such, Jakey's early life was one of opulence, growing up in the family's Fifth Avenue and Beechwood properties. But his mother soon jeopardized his inheritance. Jakey's mother struggled to find true love after his father passed. Eventually, however, she set her sights on the Italian boxer Enzo Fermante in 1933, much to her son's strong disapproval. Jakey viewed the new union as a betrayal and struggled to accept the change. The Titanic took more than just Jakey's father when it went down, and also took his fortune. Colonel Astor hadn't had time to write his unborn son into his will before he sank beneath the icy waters. Fortunately, his father had foreseen just such a circumstance. Even though John Jacob Astor VI wasn't in his father's will, he didn't walk away from the Astor estate empty-handed. Colonel Astor had included a $3 million inheritance for any of his additional surviving children, but Jakey would have to wait to get his hands on the dough. On his 21st birthday, John Jacob Astor VI claimed his share of the astronomical Astor fortune. Incredibly, his $3 million trust fund had nearly doubled to $5 million, equivalent to about $110 million in today's dollars, and his mother left him some goodies of her own. When Madeline succumbed to a heart condition in March 1940, she left her first son, John Jacob Astor VI, more than just fond memories. Her will included cherished pieces of jewelry that became a tangible link to her legacy. Of course, it didn't hurt that these shiny trinkets were worth a fortune. Among the items that Jakey's mother left him was a diamond solitaire ring. The stunning stone was valued at $50,000, over $1 million today. In addition to that, his mother left him a pearl necklace worth $1,525, around $33,000 today, and he knew just the woman to wear his mother's heirlooms. In December 1933, John Jacob Astor VI became engaged to Eileen Sherman Gillespie. She was a sophisticated socialite and daughter of Lieutenant Lawrence Gillespie and Irene Sherman. Their romance captivated New York society, but the drama would tear it apart. In a shocking decision, Eileen called off the marriage after reports of a bitter argument. The sudden break shattered Jakey's hopes for their future together. John Jacob Astor VI couldn't believe his marriage had fallen apart even before it started. Seeking solace and escape from the relentless media coverage of his failed engagement, Jakey traveled to Shanghai. The journey allowed him time to grieve before he returned to America in May 1934, ready to rebuild his life or take back what he had lost. Shortly after returning from Shanghai, John Jacob Astor VI became engaged to Ellen Tucky French, who just so happened to be a close friend of his former fiancée Eileen. It may just have been a ploy to make Eileen jealous. To get the romantic attention of Jakey, Tucky had absolutely zero scruples. In an ironic twist to Jakey's unfolding romantic saga, Tucky had been slated to serve as a bridesmaid at Jakey's wedding to Eileen. Instead, she stepped into the role of bride herself, taking center stage in his life. She made sure to do so in style. Whether for love or revenge, Jakey was actually committed to Tucky, and she was committed to him. The unlikely couple exchanged vows on June 30, 1934, at the prestigious Trinity Church in Newport, Rhode Island. Unfortunately for Jakey, everything in his life had a habit of sinking, including his marriage. After nearly a decade together, Jakey and Tucky divorced in May 1943, but his heart didn't stay broken for long. About a year after breaking things off with Tucky, on September 18, 1944, he married Gertrude Gretsch, a young woman from a prominent family. This marriage, too, however, was doomed to hit rock bottom. Jakey's union with Gertrude faltered over time. 6 years into their marriage, for reasons that aren't entirely clear, the couple separated before officially divorcing 4 years later on August 2, 1954. At least, they thought they were divorced. According to official records, Jakey and Gertrude filed for divorce in Mexico, but they were in for a surprise. A quick Mexican divorce didn't legally count in their native New York. It wasn't until 1956 that the proper authorities officially recognized Jakey's and Gertrude's divorce. While the details of Jakey's marriage to Gertrude were made out of the press, Anyone speculating could piece together what must have happened. Given what Jakey did next, it's little wonder that his second marriage ended the way it did. On August 6, 1954, just 2 days after getting the Mexican divorce, Jakey stunned the world. In a shocking about-face, the Titanic baby married his third wife, Dolores Margaret Dolly Fullman. The suddenness fueled speculation that the two had been carrying on an affair, but their balance would last longer than their devotion. Shortly after their honeymoon, Jakey made another shocking decision when he and his new bride separated, then got divorced. Their marriage was short-lived, leaving Jakey once again searching for lasting companionship. During his toured years, Jakey took some time to search his heart, and found it. In 1956, he married for the fourth, and thankfully final time, to Sue Sanford. Unlike with his previous marriages, they're bonded and dirt for nearly 3 decades until 1985 when Sanford passed, marking the longest-lasting relationship of his life. Still, his later years were not easy. When Jakey's half-brother Vincent passed in 1959, he reasonably expected to inherit another sizable portion of the Astor estate. However, Vincent clearly still harbored hatred for him and excluded the Titanic baby entirely from his will. Jakey's response ignited a family feud unlike any other. Jakey didn't take the disappointing will of his loathsome half-brother at face value. Instead, he filed a lawsuit against Vincent's widow. He believed he was entitled to a portion of the fortune that had instead gone to her. In his lawsuit to claim his share of the Astor fortune, Jakey argued that Vincent had been mentally incompetent when he signed his final will in 1958. As evidence, he cited his brother's drinking habit. However, Brooke countered that Vincent was fully competent at the time. Amidst the media furor over the Astor family feud, Jakey made another shocking allegation. The Titanic baby further alleged that his half-brother's widow had plied him with drinks in order to influence his decision in her favor. The accusations added fuel to their contentious legal battle. Despite his compelling arguments and the media's sympathy, Jakey knew he didn't have much of a case. As such, he accepted a settlement of $250,000, about $2.6 million today, a paltry fraction of the massive family fortune. Just as Vincent had written in his will, the bulk of his fortune remained with Brooke and the Vincent Astor Foundation. The loss of the majority of the Astor family fortune dealt a blow to Jakey, who had always likely felt something of a black sheep among his illustrious relatives. In fact, it was the final and possibly fatal blow. John Jacob Astor VI passed on in 1992 in Miami Beach, Florida, at the age of 79. His life had been marked by wealth, drama, and relentless pursuit of his place within the Astor dynasty. The question of whether or not Jakey was a real Astor was finally laid to rest when he was. Jakey's body was returned to New York and buried alongside his parents in the Trinity Church Cemetery, cementing his place as a legitimate Astor and reuniting him with his heroic parents. If you enjoyed this Fact and 8 video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Want to say in who we cover next? Join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.